So there's something really weird about lucid dreaming, and you might have noticed it yourself. Some lucid dreams happen completely uninvited. You're not trying, you haven't used a technique, but there you go, you're lucid in the dream. And the really weird part is that these dreams, these spontaneous lucid dreams, happen on the nights that are the least controlled. You're not using techniques, you haven't done wake back to bed, you haven't set any alarms or intentions. In fact, if anything, it's the messier nights. And is it just me, or is that really intriguing? Because the standard lucid dreaming advice says the opposite: focus on sleep hygiene, use a sleep mask, be controlled, be precise. But spontaneous lucid dreams throw the rulebook out of the window. And when there's a mystery like that, I start to pay attention, and when I did, I noticed a pattern, and it's a pattern so obvious that it's almost a bit embarrassing that nobody talks about it. So in this video, I'm going to share that pattern with you. It's a new lucid dreaming technique, no fancy acronyms, no silliness, but when you start to think this way, lucid dreaming becomes easier. The problem. So there's a problem with how lucid dreaming is generally taught. It's kind of brain-centric. And what I mean by that is most teachers focus on these psychological principles. If you think the right way, if you have the right psychology, then lucid dreams are guaranteed. But that's not really how brains and bodies work, is it? It's only half the problem. If lucid dreams were purely a cognitive issue, then you wouldn't be able to explain spontaneous lucid dreams. So where do they come from? And for those of you familiar with my work, you probably recognize where this is going, because I talk about it in my book, Are You Dreaming Under the 3 Pillars of Lucidity? But it boils down to this: if you double down on the psychology and ignore everything else, then you'll be banging your head against a brick wall, because lucid dreaming is more than how you think. There are other aspects at play, other variables, other things that are so subtle that you might not even think of them as techniques. But it is, and it's one I've returned to again and again over the years, not because it's clever, not because it's special, but because it works. Spontaneous lucid dreams. So over the years, I've heard the same kinds of stories crop up again and again. People saying things like, I wasn't even trying that night, but I had the most vivid lucid dream of my life, or I'd given up lucid dreaming and suddenly I had one, or I was on holiday and I wasn't even thinking about lucid dreams, and I had the best lucid dream of my life. So when I see a pattern like that, I have to look a little bit deeper. And what I found was it wasn't the usual suspects. These were nights where something unusual happened, something unpredictable, something messy, something spontaneous. And it's really easy to write these off as luck or coincidence or something like that, but that's not how you learn things. So I started to look deeper. If lucid dreams can sneak in through the cracks without any effort at all, then maybe it's got nothing to do with psychology, maybe it's not to do with how the person was thinking or what they intended, but maybe it was the context of their sleep, maybe there was another influence at play. And if that's true, we've been looking in the wrong direction. Maybe rather than trying harder to have lucid dreams, we need to change something we've not been thinking about. We need to focus on the body, the context of how you sleep. And that got me thinking about the evolution of sleep. When it comes to sleep, evolution doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about the symbolism, the meaning, the spiritual elements of them. But what it does care about is survival. And when you think about it from that perspective, sleep has always been a compromise. It's the compromise of needing to shut down, rest and repair, but also not to be at risk from danger. There's no point in repairing the mind and the body if you're going to be eaten alive while you sleep. So sleep developed in layers. The deep levels of sleep where you restore the body and you're completely out of it, and the lighter layers of sleep, REM, where you perform memory consolidation, but your mind is more alert. It's basically a bit of a dance between unconsciousness and vigilance. And this is where it gets interesting and useful for lucid dreams. When your body is sleeping in an unfamiliar environment, it's at a higher level of risk. So you don't sleep as deeply. Your mind has to stay constantly aware with a little watchman ready to notice danger. And this happens across nature and in some very weird ways. There are some birds that sleep with just one eye closed. There are marine animals which sleep one hemisphere at a time. And in humans, when we're in a new environment, we sleep with a more active prefrontal cortex, which, incidentally, is the part of the brain you want active in order to have lucid dreams. So you can think of it a bit like your brain's natural security system, a bunch of CCTV cameras ready and waiting for danger. This is more active when you're sleeping outside of your familiar sleep environment, when your sleep hygiene has been thrown out of sync. So that's all very interesting, but what the hell can we do with it? The pattern. So back when I was in my early 20s, I started to experiment. Not with techniques, but with observation. I wanted to observe the nights where lucidity happened without any effort. And thankfully, that was quite easy because I was a bit of a wild party animal back then, and in your 20s, life is more chaotic, so my sleep was much more chaotic. And what I noticed matched what I'd been thinking about. My most vivid dreams, my best dream recall, and my spontaneous lucid dreams all occurred when my sleep wasn't standard, when I was sleeping somewhere other than my bed. And over the years, I confirmed these observations and this theory with my students, with other experienced lucid dreamers, and with anyone who would share their stories. Spontaneous lucid dreams and higher dream recall occurred outside of normal sleeping conditions. So now we have a reliable, non-psychological principle that will increase your dream recall, the vividness of your dreams, and your chances of lucidity by switching the brain on a little more while you sleep. And the great thing is, you can do this alone and have a higher chance of spontaneous lucid dreams, or you can combine it with standard lucid dream training and amplify that. The translocation technique. Before we jump into the technique itself, I need to do a quick thank you to the people who make this channel possible. Today's video was made possible by our first ever channel benefactor, Stephen Rice. Thank you, Stephen. And if you want to be mentioned in the next video, become a channel benefactor. So here's the technique. It's called translocation, and it's absurdly simple. Step 1. Go to bed as normal, don't do anything different, but just sleep for about 4 to 5 hours. If you want, you can set an alarm to wake yourself up, or you can wait to wake up naturally. It doesn't really matter, but for the first 4 to 5 hours of sleep, you just sleep as normal. Step 2. After you've woken up, after around 4 to 5 hours sleep, stay awake for as long as you feel necessary. It can be 5 minutes, half an hour, you choose. But the important thing is relocate. Sleep somewhere different. So you can either change your sleeping position or relocate to a different room entirely. So it could be as simple as turning around in the bed so you're sleeping back to front so your head is where your feet just were, or you could move through to the living room and sleep on the sofa, or you could lay on the floor. When I was in my 20s, what I would do is I would walk through to the living room, lay on the floor on a beanbag, and just drift off into sleep. And what you're really doing here is just disrupting your body's environmental familiarity, just enough so that you're not going to fall into a deep state of unconscious sleep, and that your REM sleep will be lighter. In scientific terms, the parts of your brain that would normally be shut down, such as the prefrontal cortex, will be more active because your brain feels that there is a threat in the sleeping environment. Step 3, just allow yourself to fall back to sleep. You can either just do that, or if you want to increase your chances of lucidity, you can combine this with any lucid dreaming technique. This particular practice gives you a much higher chance of having a maintained awareness lucid dream, otherwise known as WILDs, but you can also have dream-initiated lucid dreams, regained awareness lucid dreams also. And even if this doesn't result in a lucid dream, you can guarantee that your dream recall will be greatly increased. And if you want to find this video easier in the future, hit the like button so it's recorded in your history, leave a comment below, and maybe try watching one of the videos on the screen right now. I'll see you there.